Hi, everybody. It's Karen Anderson here with Aortic Hope and Greg Aaron Greenberg. It is our week in review, and I think this is the one where we're going to wrap up Aortic Disease Awareness Month, which was the entire month of September, because as you know, or you have learned, there's way too much information to try to share everything with you in one day or 1 week. We have to use the entire month. So let's get it going. What do we got, Greg?
Okay, yeah. So like you said, we're wrapping up the month, and it starts with September 27th. So it's the week of September 27th, and starts with Medical Monday. And we are continuing the discussion for Aortic Disease Awareness Month. And we start by discussing imaging. And the most common methods for visualizing aneurysms dissections are by echocardiogram or transesophageal echocardiography, TEE, computerized tomography, CT scan, or magnetic resonance angiography, MRAs. We thought that you would find it interesting to see some pictures representing tests that take place in the community. So the first picture was from Domenico Grusso from ResearchGate, and it is a TEE of an aortic aneurysm. And there you have it.
So now TEE, that's, if I'm not mistaken, that goes down your throat, correct?
That goes, yes, that goes down your throat. That is, I don't think it's not really regularly done too much to monitor. It will be done a little bit in emergency situations sometimes, but keep in mind that only sees a very small part, like an echo. It only sees what it can see by passing down the throat. You're not going to get lower abdominal, which is why CT is the preferred in an emergency situation, because that way you're getting a look at the whole aorta. But picture 2 is a CT of a descending aneurysm, which I don't know if we had that labeled right, because that definitely looks like it's an aneurysm in the ascending.
What did the word say? Because I think, yeah, no, that's what it was described as.
Yeah, definitely looks like it's more of an enlargement in the ascending, but
doesn't it? Yeah, it really does.
Picture 3 is an MRA. So for the people that get MRAs like you do, Karen, this is an MRA from ascending thoracic aortic aneurysm.
That first one's a great cross-section view.
Yeah. And then that kind of shows you the MRA when it's non-cross-section and they're looking at it.
Yeah.
Hello, Kurt.
Hey, Kurt, nice to see you. Or hear that you're here with us since I can't see you. Yeah, you know what? I love when this comes up every year because I'm always so fascinated at these pictures. Unless it's a full-on CT or MRA, if you told me I was looking at a slice of corned beef, I'd believe you because I don't understand cross-section views. When I have an echo, I stretch to watch because I do understand when I see the valves moving, obviously. Right. But even then, I'm just, this is not my lane, clearly being trained in how to read these. But, when we talked with Dr. Fisher, Dr. Stacy Fisher last week when we had, no, it was actually this week, which we're getting there. So I'm in the past of getting ready to go into the future of the past. Figure that when we have our conversation with Dr. Fisher, it is interesting when she explains these different tests and that there are obviously going to be different measurements if you think of this, a cylinder of your aorta, and if you're going to take it, diagonal, straight on, every different angle creates a different measurement. And those differentiations could be the difference between a surgical intervention or not. So,
well, I think that's why they've always said, like, if you can stay with the same sort of imaging on the same machine, even, but even potentially the same radiologist reading it, it lowers different interpretations a lot more because someone's going to measure pretty much consistently how they measure.
Yeah.
And I think that, so the more exact, like the more similar one scan is to the other, leaves less open to interpretation. Where suddenly you hear, oh, my aneurysm shrunk.
Yep. And the reality is the amount of radiation that one is getting in a CT doesn't equal that of one X-ray. So I know a lot of people in the community are concerned, oh, I had so many CT scans. I think I had 9 in the first 6 months. So it was told to me that it's not really problematic. If you need it, you need it. So there's that whole analysis of pros and cons. But after a period of time, don't hesitate to talk to your doctor about their strict preference as it seems for CT, because you might find out that they'll say, oh, okay, if you want an MRA, sure. Remembering that one of the biggest differences I think for them is I think a lot of doctors think that we would just prefer CT because it's a 5-minute test. I mean, it's so quick, it's so fast, but an MRA can take 45 minutes. And
Yeah,
so, and a
MRA can
lot
be
of
45 minutes to an hour. You start getting into claustrophobic. Now, this is something that you and I have talked a lot about because I've never strayed from CTs. You've
straight,
switched to MRAs.
right?
A lot of it for you is your reaction to contrast, right?
Exactly.
So you're willing to eat an hour being
I sleep.
claustrophobic in a tube.
I sleep through most of it. Once you put that spa music on and I start counting, you know, I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm weird, just, but you know that.
No, I'll be the first. I mean, I've slept through sports injury MRIs plenty of times. However, if I don't fall asleep, I also have issues with claustrophobia. So now all of a sudden that tube comes in, and for the majority of them, like I said, it's been my legs. So my head is still kind of out.
Yeah.
When they're looking at chest, you are in the tube, that you are trapped around it. I had one like that. And they had to give me the mirrored mask so that I was looking at my own reflection as opposed to that mirrored helmet that they do, where you have a mirror in front of you so you can look at your reflection instead of looking at the top of the screen, the top of the cylinder.
Right.
Which helped. But I think the most important thing,
go ahead,
as far as for a lot of us dissectees, is to have the complete imaging. So whether it's CT or MRA, those are the best to see everything. When you start talking about abdominal ultrasounds or echoes, you are talking about a much more restricted area that they're looking at. So if you have an ascending aneurysm and it can be seen on echo, then by all means have the echo to follow it. But understand that you might not know what else is going on with your aorta because it's not going to ever see your abdominal area. If you're somebody that had a pulsating in the stomach and they did the abdominal ultrasound, it's only seeing a small portion of the aorta. It does not see the thoracic aorta. So none of those are very intricate for seeing what they specifically see.
Right. And it's just, it goes the same if you think about a colonoscopy. A lot of people take a Cologuard test, which is really just sending in a stool sample. And that's great. And somehow they are able to detect if you have a potential problem. What it doesn't show is if you have a polyp, and polyps can become cancerous. So it's kind of like if you have only had an abdominal issue, that does not mean you're not going to have a thoracic. So you talk with your doctor about how often you should have your upper area, scanned or baselined or followed up. But, you made a good point, Greg. Just having the echo will not show the abdominal. And sometimes, depending on people's anatomy, it doesn't really give a good view of the arch either. So it will show the ascending, at least part of that, but it may not necessarily show the rest. And that's also dependent upon how your technician's trained. Not everybody puts the wand right into the throat, has you cough, has you do a lot of weird, stretches your neck up. They're all trained a little bit differently, unfortunately. But this is a great tool to just talk to your doctor and say, why? Why are we doing this and not this? Or can I do this versus that? This. Kurt has a question. So the question is, can you reconstruct a CT scan into 3D model? And I do not know the definitive answer on that, but I thought that they could. But I don't know that I've necessarily seen, believe Kurt's talking about the ones that people show online that spin around in a circle. It's a good question for your doctor. I don't know. I do not
I'm
know.
not 100% sure, but I don't think in essence there's anything that an MRI shows that a CT couldn't.
Except I don't know that the CT does the slicing to see in. It's just it's looking.
Yeah, I think also you get into gated, ungated. There's different
Right.
versions. I'm not 100% sure either.
I'm gonna see.
I don't necessarily have the answer. So that, I mean, Kurt, I would ask, definitely like Karen suggested, I would ask your doctor about that.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, not in a bad sense. We all might like it. Like, oh my God, it's so cool to see it. Really, the most important thing is how the person that's reading it interprets it and how they want the picture to be. I understand that we might want to spin it around, but if the doctor is comfortable with your CT being that way and it shows intricate. Now, I know that when I asked other things, my doctor was very comfortable with CT. There was also the idea of the fact that I had torn into a lot of different peripheral arteries, and and she felt that CT was the best way to see all those other branch arteries. I'm assuming MRA would be similar, but for some reason,
I Googled it. You can talk to the actual radiology department. I don't know if they're going to charge you anything for it. It does not specifically say, but you can specifically talk to the radiology department and ask if they can give you a 3D printout or a 3D scan of a CT.
fantastic. There's your answer.
You know, because Google knows.
Hey.
And there's that Medical Monday. Good question.
That wraps up Medical Monday with the help from Google.
And Kurt.
Now, this is part 2. We moved to Topic Tuesday. And this is where we're going to start. Once again, it starts talking about the TEE and CTs. Here we're going to start sharing pictures. This is from Daniel Haas, and it's an echocardiogram of aortic dissection.
There's your flap.
Yep, right there, that little arrow.
But you know what? If you told me that was a leg from a 7-month-old fetus, I'd believe you. No idea.
Well, that's the problem. I think that's, you know, I would like to see doctors go on and then like just see random images like this and like, what are we looking at? Okay, that's an echo of an aortic dissection. I would like to know if they could just, I mean, I know when they ultimately are like diagnosing, I'm about to look at this. Okay, there's a dissection flap.
I see a game. No, I see a game. We're going to grab like 2 doctors and we're going to bring them on and we're going to play like a Family Feud or real, whatever kind of game. Guess the scan.
Name this sonogram.
Ring in first.
Name the sonogram.
Hello, Dr. Whalen. We just spoke to a few days ago. Nice to see you join us. Maybe you'd like to be our first participant in our game of Name That Scan. What do we got on picture number 2?
Picture number 2 is from W. Michael Park, who's a doctor at Cleveland Clinic. And this is showing a CT of a descending thoracic aortic dissection.
Yeah, you can see that right there.
Yeah, you can see that split.
Right, and that's already imaged there or labeled T and F. I'm going to assume true lumen and false lumen.
False lumen, yep.
Interesting. So exciting. See, I know what I'm looking at there. I'm going to guess those are kidneys. See, I think I got that.
Yeah, and that's why we hear a lot of people talk about it in our community. This picture right here, right where my cursor is why when people don't understand, I have one kidney being fed by the true lumen and one kidney being fed by the false lumen. This is how that happens.
And this would be a great way for you to see, this is this conversation starters we often talk about. If that's happening to you or any side effect from your dissection, ask your doctor, engage your doctor, ask if you can see your scan and let them teach you. I know my doctor is always willing to show me, and I find it fascinating. I personally find it comforting to have a better sense of what is actually going on in my body. It helps explain to me what was the unexplainable. So if I were the patient of this, I'd want to go in and say, show me, teach me what's going on. This is a good one too.
Yes, this is picture 3, and this is from Shamali Paul from antmini.com, and this is showing the MRA of a descending aortic dissection. So there's your flap. You can distinctly see that, and then you can distinctly see the line drawing down the length of the dissection.
Yeah. And I don't know, is that a spine or rib cage? But I don't need to know what I'm looking at. I only need to know what my doctor wants to teach me. But it is fun to play the guessing game. It's a great idea for a game, Greg. You hit the nail on the head.
That's what I'm saying. That's just, I'm curious. I'm curious if you take a doctor out of the specialty and out of them knowing, could you just, well, I'm assuming they would.
Okay.
I'm not going to lie. I think they honestly would know, but I think there would be certain things that cross sections where they'd be like, I'm not sure what I'm looking at.
Right.
What sort of case? I think that I don't know.
We'll have to see. All right, that is our topic Tuesday.
That wraps up our topic Tuesday, and that would go directly
Before
into.
we go into Thursday, let's talk
Yes.
a little bit real quick about the live event we have with Dr. Fisher. I'm not sure, about you, but as I say, whenever we do a live event with someone, and these videos are available for you to view on this YouTube channel, but you have to like and subscribe below, pushing the buttons, because then it will notify you when these types of live events happen. But I always learn something new. And I found that her conversation about COVID, or conversation about elevation, and why the importance of wearing compression stockings in a plane, and how the oxygen is a little less than sitting here outside of a plane, and that it makes sense that you can go through the dehydration and that'll impact your blood pressure and heart rate. So I thought it was a very interesting conversation. She has a great way of just kind of explaining those facts. What was your takeaway, Greg?
I definitely agree. I mean, whenever we talk to her, I always feel like you get the idea of how your treatment should be separated. Like the idea that she is there to truly work you through the dynamics of your blood pressure, things like that, where you might have certain effects, how things might cause you, and how your surgeon really addresses, like, okay, here's a scan, it's time. And they don't necessarily, I mean, they might have, okay, we need to pay attention to your BP. Has your BP been good? And they might have discussions like that. But whenever we speak to her, I always feel really good about that. She's kind of telling everybody in our community, like, this is a sort of relationship you should have with your cardiologist, and where you should be getting this sort of information from. And your surgeon is here when when it comes a time that we need your surgeon.
Mm-hmm. I love her visuals too, how she was showing exactly where you want to make sure to have your upper arm blood pressure cuff, and the differences, if any, between a wrist and an upper arm, and how to make sure it fits properly. There's just a lot of nuances that we as patients and survivors, we're not necessarily given that education prior to leaving the hospital, or even in a clinic visit. And, our surgeons are busy saving lives and making sure we're doing well with ours. But her final notes, it just dawned on me, what I loved her final conversation was, we are here, it is now, and we should make the best of our life, whatever the best is on any particular day for any particular person. And if you're not feeling good on medications, or you're not feeling good in general, have that conversation, advocate for yourself, talk to your doctors, and let them help you.
Yeah, well, I think that's the key. I mean, we've seen a lot especially of late, and I've seen a lot in the community where, oh, I was discharged from the hospital and nobody really instructed me on certain. Then my surgeon basically pointed me in a direction of a cardiologist because she had a good rapport with him, and then he was the one that told me what I should start expecting for my meds, everything like that. And I think that's what's important. I think that's the big hole, is that a lot of people feel like, oh, my surgeon sent me home and didn't give me information. Their thought is that you're going to have a relationship with the cardiologist, and that's where those discussions will take place.
Right. Correct. Well, that was another great event with her, and I know we'll have some more with her in the future. Are we no longer live, or are we live and having technical difficulties? I hope I'm not frozen like this.
I can wager you right now that if you're frozen, it's not
It's
it's not
ugly.
on a good face.
I never get frozen on pretty face. I'm definitely, we can talk about this when we come back up. Just never happens. I feel like I should start doing jazz hands and doing a dance to fill in the time. I'm not sure what's happening. If anybody, so nobody's out there that can write us and tell us if they hear us or see us or anything. If anybody's out there, right. It's because things are going on right now. It's the gremlins or it's the sunburst flares or
Greg, how could you pick that thumbnail for me? Karen, I don't think you understand. That's the best thumbnail that they gave me a choice.
who said that?
One of the ones in the old videos where you're like, how could you pick that thumbnail?
Oh,
And I was like, that's the best. I'm like, I can show you the other two.
You can upload any picture. I didn't even know we could upload a picture to totally change that thumbnail.
Yep.
Well, I guess if anybody can hear us, we're back. Hi. Not too sure how much you missed. We had a little bit of technical difficulty. Evidently, today there's technical difficulties going on everywhere. But really what you missed was us just talking a lot about the video that we did on the live event with Dr. Stacy Fisher, which is in our list of videos. And when you check it out, like and subscribe and share, because that's the easiest way to have patients, survivors, and caregivers that are not on Facebook join our page here, which leads us to our Thursday.
Brings us to our first Friday fundraiser.
Oh, no, we didn't do Thursday. Big thank you.
Oh, the big thank you. Yes. Sorry.
I got a big thank you. Yeah, so I can't see the screen to read the words because I didn't wear my glasses, but you know, prior to September, we always start this a little early in preparation for September, and we actually have a Facebook frame. Of course, we created it when profile pictures on Facebook were square, so we will do our very best to revamp and have a round-shaped Facebook profile frame for next month. But what was great was seeing how many people in the community, names we knew, names we didn't know, just share that September was Aortic Disease Awareness Month. It really was so much less about us and more about that the month was coming and to get ready for a lot of information. So in September, and we want to thank you for that, but we really want to thank you for your participation. So in September, to recap, what you will find on Facebook, on our website, in YouTube is, you know, again, this is because there's so much information. We did it for the month. We gave you information about aortic aneurysms, right? We talked about dissections. We talked about pre and post-op information that was really created by the community. We talked about emotional well-being, which is so important. It's probably one of the most important parts that I think, unfortunately, are missed by the medical community when these things happen to us or when people are diagnosed, would be what happens to us emotionally. We talked about genetics. We talked about conditions, right? Obviously scans, which we've just shared with you, and so much more. Oh, we also talked about our amazing relationship with the other nonprofit organization, Think Aorta, because we had an opportunity to be online with them globally. We had 3 different live events. And typically, we usually have one. We did have an Ask a Doctor event, so everybody had a chance to ask questions of a doctor live and have those questions answered. We had 2 support group meetings, right, Greg? Which I think your attendance was probably up in both of those.
Yes, it is.
We participated in the Aortic Bridge Awareness Walk across the Brooklyn Bridge. We shared with the global community how aortichope thinks aorta every day and what we do. We posted many educational pieces and information from our collaboration with the Society for Thoracic Surgeons, the American Heart Association, and numerous hospitals. All of this information, again, is in our website for you to review. And of course, we had every single week, we had at least 1, if not 2 contests. And we ended up giving away way over $100 worth of aortichope merchandise, 50 awareness bracelets in total, as well as we had our first bingo event. And that we gave away quite a lot as well. So connecting hearts one beat at a time. It's always free to do that with us. And we operate 100% on donations. There will be a link so that you can donate to us. There's also, as you can see below, a donate button on our website. Everything we do as survivors is because of you and for you. And we just really want to thank you for making us your post-diagnosis patient advocacy organization of choice. So thank you.
Yes, a very big thank you to everyone in our community.
And wouldn't you agree the key for us, and I don't know how many people realize this, but pretty much just about everybody on our board presently has aortic disease. So we walk the walk, we talk the talk and walk the walk. So we are behind the scenes patients just like you, and helping all of you really does help us. It really helps us get through our own personal situation. And I think that you would find that's very unique for any nonprofit organization to have the governing board basically have the same disease as the community that they're serving. Just gonna say, throw that out there. And that's our big thank you Thursday.
Yes, an absolutely big thank you to everyone in this community that follows, supports, and participates with us.
Yes.
Plays along.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And with that, I will segue into our first Friday fundraiser as we kick off the new month of October. And I will throw it over to you.
Yeah, so every Friday, it's the first Friday fundraiser for us. And we've done everything from give up your coffee and give us $5, thanks a latte. We've tried it all. But as a nonprofit organization who does not provide ourselves with any salary, we literally use every penny to give back into the community. We try to come up with some creative ways, whether it's highlighting an item, or in this case, offering a discount. So you can go to our Teespring shop with the link is on our website that you can click to directly. We've highlighted some of our items here. These are great items. I mean, the water bottle, sweatshirts in multiple colors, T-shirts in multiple blends. This slouchy sweatshirt is only in 2 colors, but that is a big seller right now. Oh my goodness, the coffee mugs in so many different colors. And we've got 3 logos right now that you can choose from. Our original, this is more of our retro. And then we did our limited edition fundraiser that was the Aortic Keep Fighting, which went over really well also. So if you use the code Aortic10, you're going to get $10 off of your order. And this is good through the end of the month. So grab some swag, start a conversation today about aortic disease. I guarantee you someone's going to ask you what the information on your clothing, magnet, coffee cup, what have you, what it means. And this is your chance to share with the community, to give some consideration based upon their medical history, to number one, share their medical history, and then determine with their personal physician, does it make sense to have any type of baseline scan of their aorta? As we know, this can happen to anyone at any time. PSA of the day.
Yep.
And your dogs agree.
And my dog agrees. It's good looking swag.
Good looking swag.
Yep. Okay.
We're going to do a 28 dresses. We're going to do it, you and I. We're going to have a video created where it's a snapshot of you in something, then a snapshot of me. And we're just going to go through our closet of swag that we have.
Yeah, I have a lot of things.
And we're going to get a video created to some funky music. And we're going to probably do it around April, I'm thinking, for April Fool's Day, and make total fools of ourselves. But it's not foolish. It's fun.
It's fun. I mean, it's not as fun when you and I inadvertently become Twinkies and show up in the same shirt.
Yes.
But
I'm sorry. I'm in tie-dye today. I'm not sure which you're wearing one of our lavender shirts, which was such a oh yeah, that was a big well, you just went invisible, but we did catch a glimpse of it. Big seller. And we do foresee a good chance of a fall fundraiser coming. We are presently working on an interesting logo design right now as we speak. So that'll be coming out soon. All right, Greg.
With that, we move on to Scientific Sunday. And it is about helping with research of aortic disease and its impacts. And if you check out the link that we provide, it'll take you to our website where we list all the research studies happening in the community. Can bring those up. First is To all patient survivors, please consider participating in the survey, which will help understand the emotional impact of aortic disease. It's a study conducted by a group of physicians in New York City to better understand how the experience of aortic dissection has impacted your life. Your participation in the study is voluntary, and all information gathered will be anonymous. Now, this is one of the ones that's running out of Maimonides with Dr. Ben Udelman, who we work with Think Aorta, and that we've had on here before. And him and the psychiatric department at his hospital have been working close to really see some of the PTSD effects of aortic disease as a whole and dissection. Next up.
It's a lot of information on this one.
Yeah.
Dr. Prakash, he's got some seriously interesting research studies going on there. A lot of them too.
Yeah, and the first one really, I mean, this is obviously out of UT Health in Houston in Dr. Prakash's laboratory, and exertional blood pressure and personalized exercise prescriptions for thoracic aortic disease. And basically they're trying to, I'm not going to read this whole thing, but basically the idea of it is to try to develop rational limits based on individual people's responses to exercise about what is an appropriate idea and level of exercise. Because we see it, so many of us are told different things. Limit your lifting to this, limit your lifting to that. Shouldn't have a heart rate here. They're trying, and what Dr. Prakash is trying to do is come up with some set of norms that can kind of give you a guideline, and then you can individualize it as well. Next up is the genetic causes of bicuspid aortic valve disease. And here, obviously, it's pretty straightforward. It's about bicuspid aortic valve, or BAV, and the fact that it's the most common adult congenital heart defect, and it is genetically determined. They can now identify a causal genetic variant in about half the people with BAV who experience early complications, meaning they either needed valve surgery or developed an aortic aneurysm. And do specific gene mutations cause recognizable features?
And let me say, did you hear Dr. Fisher mention that, because she is the head of their congenital heart disease or heart defect area?
Right.
I only know one person in the community who has a mono aortic valve. I'm butchering it. It's mono something, which is one. There also is quadruple. I never knew that someone could have four. I'm not sure that you can go as far as five, but yeah, there's obviously has to be some type of congenital or genetic component to that, because it is not in everybody. And as we all know, having bicuspid, or I guess quadruple or mono, will cause a problem potentially in your ascending aorta with the potential for aneurysms. And then
I don't know how much the mono, I mean, I might be misspeaking a little bit. I believe the mono is really still like a weird genetic variation of the bicuspid. I don't know if it's that I think that's why it's that rare. I think it's what coincides with a bicuspid and then doesn't develop the right way for a bicuspid.
Yeah, neither would a quadruple.
Right.
I mean, that's like four-way split. That's just crazy that it should be three, and three works perfect. Not two, not one, not four, but just three. Okay, go ahead.
Now this one that's about the BAV, you do not have to travel to Houston to participate. That first exercise one is a participate in person, because they need to see and monitor what's happening to you under exercise. This one is an enrollment and with a survey and a consent form and spit test for their genetic testing. So that is pretty much that. And the goal will be to describe the genetic and clinical features of people with BAV so they can help predict outcomes like valvular degeneration or when they might need surgery quicker. And again, that goes through Dr. Prakash. And we'll have links to all these and to our website, obviously, so you can look at it. And then the third one, I don't know as much about. It's the role of mosaicism in the penetrance and severity of thoracic aortic disease. And the rationale in that is they hypothesize that two types of common mosaicism, sex chromosome loss and clonal I have no idea.
I was waiting. I just was
Hemato,
sitting here waiting for you.
hematopoiesis. Well, I'll be the first to admit, I did not look it up. So I did not. We'll just throw it out there.
Glonoblobula. Just
Hematopoiesis. That's what I'm going with. And how that can drive the progression of aortic aneurysms and dissections.
Right. It's a lot of genetic stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that once again is through Dr. Prakash.
Right. And that's what we know of right now. So as we find out additional studies that are going on, or if you happen to be in the medical community watching this and you'd like to send that information to us, you can always reach out to us at info@aortichope.org, which will be posted, and it's also on our website. And we would love to share your information with the community also.
I think a lot of this, the important stuff is how can they better predict who might have an emergency in theory to stop that emergency from happening. And I think that's the ultimate goal.
I think of Dr. Prakash's studies, I know that the community has just been gripped by the exercise. They're just waiting. And I know he has shared some of what they're starting to find, but not ready, I don't believe, to publish the whole thing yet. But that to me is also the most interesting, because you can have two people and get them as closely aligned, weight, height, situation, type A, type B, what have you. And they're still going to probably have different set of restrictions placed on them. And I think a goal would be to standardize that. I'm still thinking it's an impossibility to standardize other than minimal restrictions. And then anything beyond minimal that would apply to all would have to be specific to your case.
Right. And I think that's the unfortunate thing. I think a lot of times in our community, I know I've caught myself where my prejudices of my case in particular have prompted advice or something that might not apply to somebody else, because their case is not specific.
But I'm still going to say, and this is just my opinion, when I see people straining to throw around billion-pound kettlebells, look, who am I to tell you if you can swing 150, 200 pounds? I'm just saying that the straining aspect that you can visually see somebody going through is probably going to be one of the universal things that's a no-no.
Right. So, and I think, that comes down to understanding certain things biomechanically and everything like that. Things that we've discussed before on this channel with the Valsalva maneuvers, that the second that you're holding your breath in order to lift something, you are instantaneously raising your blood pressure. And that's what we're trying to avoid.
Right.
So is that huge spike quickly. And that's where we've talked about it with Dr. Udelman. Dr. Udelman has thought before that people probably err on the side of caution and that people could probably lift a little bit more. But again, it's understanding that biomechanical. If you can't, perfect example, we've all been through this. We've all done it with our therapists at some point, that of us that had surgery, you walk the floor of your cardiac floor when you were getting up, and they were getting you walking and everything like that. And one of the major things that they're looking for is your ability to carry a conversation. You think it's meaningless, but if you notice, they'll walk and talk to you simultaneously. They're gauging your respiration on the ability that you can carry a conversation while walking. And that's really the key. If you're struggling and now holding breath while you're walking, they know that A, your respiration isn't up to snuff yet. B, you're probably going to raise your blood pressure by holding your breath, trying to grit through what you're doing. They want everything to be as easy and flow as possible.
So these research studies, if you're unable to participate, but it piques your interest, we are not medical professionals. We do not claim to be medical professionals. This would be a great tool for you to take back to your physician and say, I saw this research study that did bring up a question about exercise and restrictions. Can we talk a little bit about what your plans are for me and why? And let them explain to you. I think the why is really important. For some people, it's not. They just do what they're told to do. But I do think that it's important to understand the why, because if you have to explain it to a child, now you've got the why. Now you can educate them as well. So use everything that we share with you as a tool for your own personal situation.
Not to mention, knowing that why can shape discussions that you have in your household, relationships with other people, or oh, why can't we do this? We can't do this because, or I shouldn't be doing this. This is a chore that needs to fall on somebody else in the house because they don't want me lifting this. Okay. So it will provide not only the parameters in which you can keep yourself safe, but it can spark true discussions about how you move forward with your care.
That be the week in review. We have wrapped up our September. And yeah, now we're going to go into spooky October. I will say that our next bingo, which is the 28th or the 22nd, I can't remember right now.
I think it's the 22nd.
It's going up on the calendar. It'll go up on the calendar if it hasn't already on our website. It is up on Facebook. I'm catching up with all of this work now. No, it's not the 27th, but because I will not be around. We are offering an opportunity to win a $30 gift card just for showing up to the game in any form of Halloween attire, mask, costume. Be decked out, paint your face. We don't care. Put a pumpkin on your head. If you show up, your name gets entered into that drawing, which has nothing to do with the bingo game, but the bingo game is so much fun. And it's not only prizes from Aortichope. We've got prizes being donated from Facebook page Aortic Health Unlimited and from the nonprofit group Rock from the Heart. They're donating a couple things as well. So we're going to go ahead and just do this right away in the month of October. And we've got some other exciting things coming up from now to the end of the year. So we'll keep announcing them. But you got to like and subscribe to see it and hear about it.
Got to keep playing along.
Got to play to win. That's what they say.
Yep.
Right?
Participation is the key.
Yep. Right. Got to be in it to win it, everybody.
But like Karen said, it was really good to get together with that first bingo event with other members from the community and all of us be there together and share something.
But let's be real. Be honest, Greg. You were not so thrilled because you didn't win. I saw the look.
No, I mean, I don't get me wrong. I was aggravated and I got fat because I decided to mark my bingo card with M&Ms, and the M&Ms punishment was to be eaten for every time I didn't win a bingo card. So I went through way too many M&Ms. We'll just put it that way.
Okay. Maybe you should pick out a can full of pennies like I have. The only negative to that is that your hands smell like coin that is
that copper smell would get to me.
I have a million times. Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie though. I mean, it was a great time, and
a lot of fun.
And I had a very active bingo card.
I did not.
Pete just couldn't find the right number that I needed at a given time ever.
Right. Yeah, no, I was playing my own personal game of being the biggest loser. I was just like, I became determined not to have a number called on my card. And I was winning.
My card was filled. I just could not. There was one that we ran that I literally was three away from a full card. Mm-hmm. But I think it was the letter H. I was 3 away from a full card, but all 3 were still in the letter H.
You did the opposite. You did everything but the letter H. I get it. So you sort of won.
That was pretty much how it was. I'm like, how is my whole card filled except for
the H? Right. Except for the H.
I was literally, he got down, I think it was like one number at that point. I think the number he could have called that would have won me the letter H would have won me the full card at the time.
Yeah. Well, I will just announce and commit myself. We will do another painting, arts, and crafts night in November. We're in that time of year where it's going to start cooling down, and we'll maybe have the community pick the colors again. And hopefully we'll get some of those rustic fall colors. And then we're going to turn right around and we'll give some away. Maybe we'll do some on a donation basis. We'll see what happens. I still have some paintings from the first round, and we will be thinking of some creative ways to get those to to whomever's home they're meant to be in. But I did see, we did donate a picture, a heart painted canvas to Rock from the Heart, and a community member won that and sent me a picture, and it looks really good on their wall. Just gonna say, they look good. They're fun. And then Greg, you should take us through arts and crafts on what it is that you do.
I could do that.
You could tell everybody what they should buy, because I just saw ornaments actually in or maybe they were snow globes, or maybe they were both. I don't know. I just saw them in the
I've been known to dabble and make snow globes.
I would love to know how to make a snow globe. Oh my gosh, do that in December, please. Tell everybody.
We can do a DIY snow globe. They're not really based the same way like DIY snow globes. You basically use them out of you make them out of the like what you would make your own jar pickles in and stuff like that. You use like the mason jars and then utilize them as the top, and you can make a snow globe out of that. A lot of fun.
They do have the snow globes, though. I saw them at the dollar store because I thought about it. And when I thought about it, I thought, I don't know what the hell to do with it. I'm sure I could figure it out, but now I can't think of what I want in there. So if you give us some ideas in November on things and inexpensively where